Coming at you live from all over Ohio. A Cleveland Browns podcast full of laughs, rants, fun, and stats. A place where all Browns fans' voices are welcome and heard. A show that aims to inform and entertain you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Barking Browns Show.
Going on, everybody? Welcome in. It is episode 84 of the Barking Brown Show. I'm your host, Jacob at Richism13, joined by my co-host, Mr. Nick Carnes at Carnesies817. Nick, how are we this fine Tuesday? Back on Tuesday.
Winning is fun, Jacob. Winning is so fun.
It makes everything so much better, including having the flu.
Jacob is in recovery mode, but we are going to power through this because there is no drug quite like hope, and all of a sudden there's a little hope brewing.
We got the Vicks cough drops. I got one stashed up here in the cheek so that I can try not to hack at you guys all night long. So we'll try that. We'll see how that works, and we'll try to make sure I blur out most of the coughing.
I'm so happy, Jacob. I you know what? I feel like a new man coming on this show this week with you, and it's amazing what just one win can do. I honestly, you know what? I didn't have I left the show last week saying to you, like, let's see some effort, because we were talking about the elephant in the room, the fact that Deshaun Watson is going to make his debut, and so I was really looking for some heart, for some fight out of the Browns, and we got that. We got every bit of it. So hats off to them.
We got our banner running for the first time across the bottom with the sponsors. We'll get through some ad reads a little bit later on, but those awesome folks down there at the bottom of the screen, you want to check those guys out. I remember having a conversation, you like you just mentioned, talking about wanting to see effort and heart. Have you seen the video that they posted of the post game?
Yes, I have.
Where the hell has that been?
You know what? It makes you wonder. That is kind of frustrating, right? Because obviously the team had it in them. And you saw that, especially, I know we're jumping a little bit ahead here, but you force overtime on 4th and 10, and then you hold defensively and win in overtime. I mean, that took so much heart and fight to get to that point. And you do it against Tom Brady and a good Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. There's so much in there to unpack and say, this is the team we thought we were. This is why we were so hopeful at the beginning of the year, I think. Even with Jacoby Brissett, who through 11 games, I think was a lot better than anyone gave him credit for. Yeah,
and I mean, you're talking about a defense that won the game for the most part, an efficient passing attack, and a good running game. That's what we thought we had. That's what we thought we were going to win with, and they won with that on Sunday.
Yeah,
not in a dominating fashion, in a slug fest in which they withstood the barrages and they counterpunched their way back and they won the football game. And so I'm a little frustrated, and I know that is not where I thought this episode was going to start, but it did start on a note of frustration because I want to know I just want to know where we were, why we couldn't do that sooner.
It's a fair question.
But, I do want to take a second to tell everybody about our good friends over at Homage, because we do have our Homage apparel on here. It is the softest material. Guardians, Cavs, Browns, Buckeyes. I know you probably don't want to wear the Buckeyes stuff right now, but they're still fifth. They're still fifth in the playoff rankings. I mean, something crazy could happen. But go over and check them out, homage.com. We'll put some links in the descriptions and stuff like that. They got all kinds of awesome stuff going on over there. I was going to do a giveaway last week. Nobody matched it. Nobody won, so it'll happen again this week where I will make a post on Sunday. If you can predict Nick Chubb's rushing total, you will win, and the Browns win, you will win a NFL Blitz Nick Chubb shirt. So that opportunity will come up again this Sunday for the Browns and Deshaun Watson's debut. So let's talk about the overtime win. And then we will shift to the new era, so to speak, as I have donned it here, and talk about Watson returning, which is kind of funny. It's kind of funny because you even mentioned it. You said the Browns had you so upset that like you forgot that all of this, we went through all this bullshit, man, for this quarterback. And so the thing is, we go through all this bullshit and you say, okay, why? Why did I do that? And you're finally going to potentially start to get some of those answers this week. And we had even lost sight of that. So I look at this game and I say, if this team had showed up like this all year, we wouldn't be having this question of can they go on an insane run to make a playoffs? We would be having a conversation of, okay, Watson can come in, be a little bit sluggish, be a little bit rusty, shake it off, win a couple games, and we'll be fine. So that's where my frustration is. But in this game, I really want to start here because I think this happens so often this year, especially. Myles Garrett took over this game.
Yes.
Everybody I've seen it time and time again. When is Myles Garrett going to take over a big game? And I will agree that in terms of completely take over, like what TJ Watt is known to do and cause some turnovers, he doesn't do it that much, mainly because he gets doubled and tripled, because that's just how it works with him. Anyway, but he took this game over. You look at, he gets 2 big sacks. He gets that, Brian Baldinger was pointing this out, the hands to the face penalty drawn on him on what was going to be a completion there in the fourth quarter that calls it back and ultimately results in a punt. My favorite part was the announcer calls him out. It's at overtime. It's 3rd down. The Buccaneers have the ball. He drops back, and in 2 seconds, Brady is on the ground. I said, oh, can Myles make a play here? And Myles made the play. Oh, my goodness, if the defense didn't step up every single time in this situation. And a lot of it had to do with Myles Garrett. I thought Clowney had his best game of the year as well. So that was really great. I thought JOK was JOK again. It was awesome to see that. I highlighted him on Twitter today. But Myles Garrett, he made those, well, show me why you're talked about as one of the best edge rushers. You never have these games. Well, here's your game.
Yep.
Here it is. Plain and simple. Big play after big play. And he's still hurt. You can tell that shoulder bothers him. But big play after big play, big sacks. I thought this game was over multiple times in the other direction.
I did too. Admittedly,
So 17-10. They punt the ball back to them. I think there was 3 minutes left. They kicked it back to them or whatever. I was really upset, by the way, when DPJ had that 31-yard punt return and they couldn't get points off of it. That one pissed me off. But that's because you know me, I'm a big JOK guy. Mm-hmm. But or I'm big DPJ, sorry. But I was looking at comments. I was looking at comments too, so I got thrown off a little bit. But my point is, they kick it back to them with 3 minutes to go, and I'm like, Brady's going to kick a field goal, score a touchdown, run the clock out. I don't know. It's going to do something. Defense makes a play, gets the ball back. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You go down, they score. They force a punt in overtime. I'm like, oh, my God. The Browns punt it. I'm like, it's over. They force another one. And this is exactly what we've been waiting for all year. Mm-hmm. Is it because Watson's coming back? I don't know. But oh my goodness, if this defense didn't step up time and time again, if Myles Garrett wasn't the $100+ million player that he was.
Yeah, you know what? We saw it a couple times last year. I think about the defensive game against the Bears where Justin Fields had 1 net passing yard and Myles Garrett, I think, had a 4.5 sack day. That was one of his most dominant performances I've seen. But I think, honestly, to what his performance last Sunday reminded me of was 2020 Myles Garrett when the Browns went to the playoffs. And Myles Garrett was so key in forcing turnovers and getting sacks and just being that guy that even though the Browns defensive unit wasn't that good in that season, Myles Garrett was consistently disruptive and just forcing turnovers and hurries and sacks. And that was the guy that I saw on Sunday. And so maybe it's taken some time to get healthy from his car accident. I'm not sure. For whatever reason, though, it was a breath of fresh air to see him look like that, because that's the guy you need. You have to, no matter how good your offense is, you got to have guys that step up and make plays on defense. You can't play just half the one side of the ball. That's not, and especially when the special teams has up until recently, all of a sudden the return games are starting to get better, and we'll get into that. But that was truly encouraging to see from Myles Garrett, and I think what you saw in the post game some a really happy looking Jadeveon Clowney, and like you said, I agree.
Johnson.
That yes,
who played well, well.
Which it's so weird to go from this like questionable effort and just really looking like they'd rather be anywhere else to fighting through the fourth quarter, and then Tampa Bay wins the coin toss, and you're like, wow, well, the defense was on the field for a long time. Maybe they're gassed. That was my biggest concern is you knew the defense was really putting in overtime. And so in overtime to get that kind of effort and to see them step up as a unit. I mean, Martin Emerson, hell of a game from him. That's a pick, right? You traded down, right? And you still find this guy who looks like he is a difference maker out there in his rookie season, going up against Mike Evans, who is certainly not a slouch. So
he out physical them all day.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the reason we're highlighting the defense so much is the offense, by a lot of measures, has been consistently at least good for the majority of the year. So the defense was probably the place where we were lacking the most, and all of a sudden you're saying to yourself, and I know Tom Brady did not look incredible, so I'm not gonna say the defense is.
He was better than people think.
Yeah, and so this kind of is, and I get your frustration, because when the defense was playing well down the stretch of last, when they pick off Lamar Jackson 4 times, when they are giving you every chance to win against the Packers on Christmas, and you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, this defense there's some carryover here. There's some real potential. And it's taken 12 weeks now, but you really saw things that make you say, okay, in these final remaining 6 games, I don't. Browns should be able to. I can't say they're going to lose definitively against any one of their final 6 opponents, and that's because the defense has stepped up so much. And I know it was a game, I know it was one game, but it was as encouraging of a performance as I could have asked for.
Well, and some people say, what's this this motivator? What's the turning point? This could be the turning point, coupled with the fact that Watson's returning. So real quick, I'm going to catch up. We've got all kinds of comments over to the side. I'm going to catch up on those before we move on real quick. Okay. So MC, I'm going to put up this comment, but the first word he meant to type Delpit. He corrected himself later, but he says that Delpit was flying all over the field. Yes, he was. Yeah. Grand Delpit the last month or so has been pretty good. He's not great yet. He's not shown as much improvement as I had hoped, but he is in fact playing a lot better lately. Okay, Andrew says, did anyone catch Myles with Von Miller tonight on Bleacher Report? No, I did not.
I have not seen it.
I have not seen it. I will try to watch that. This is actually a really good one. Anthony Walker there for Jacoby at the end of the game was awesome. He's been there twice in big moments after the Bengals win on Monday night, and then after this game, he was there for Jacoby right away, and you could tell just how much respect and love players have for Jacoby and for Anthony Walker. And I really hope that that leads to Anthony Walker still being here next season. I really do.
Fingers crossed.
Josh is checking in. What's going on, man? He says you look like you're in high school.
You know what? I was ready to shave, and the head, I don't know. Here we are.
Hey, man, whatever suits it. So yeah, so you've got to look sometimes at these turning points, and this team battled, and Nick Chubb battled, and all of this stuff, and you got to say, is there a run in this team, is what a lot of people are asking. And I said, and I think there is. I think that you have seen some of these things start to come together. You've seen the defense complement the offense complement the defense. Some of these things are starting to come together. Now, granted, it's one game. You said that. I've said that. It's one game. Keep in mind that in these big moments, that is a really good Tampa Bay defense. Mm-hmm. That is pretty much that's the Super Bowl winning defense that they had from multiple years ago. And in these big moments, yeah, they only scored 23 points, but in these big moments, they were able to score in very big moments, like against that defense, right? Against a very good defense. And I just think, the offensive line, Wyatt Teller and Jack Conklin are just not themselves right now. They're not 100%. But yet they still were able to put up Conklin had a really good pass block grade. He just didn't play very good against the run. Wyatt Teller was the other way around. Yodi Froholt is not Ethan Pocic. But yet, all of a sudden, these guys are starting to play more like a team, like more like they want to be there. It's crazy.
I was super impressed. You mentioned the offensive line. I was super impressed because you're coming off a performance where Nick Chubb was completely bottled up against Buffalo. They weren't able to get a lot of run push, and that was super concerning moving forward, and especially for winning this game, right? Because that was the real, if you go to 3-8, your season, yes, Deshaun's coming back, and yes, you're playing to see how he looks next year. But at least at 4-7, you have the slightest bit of playoff chance and hope to get there. And so I think leaving that door open is really important for this team. And so for Nick Chubb to be able to bounce back, go over 100 yards, get the game-winning touchdown, which was great, and be the first Brown since Jim Brown to have 4 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. He should have had 5, by the way. He got 1,000 yards against the Ravens his rookie season, then was tackled for loss and lost it. I'm still bitter about that because they wouldn't use him, and Nick Chubb would have piled up infinitely over 1,000 yards if they didn't have to trade Carlos Hyde to get him on the field. But that's neither here nor there. To see the run game bounce back, because the Buccaneers' run defense is and they had Vita Vea back, who is one of the better run stuffing defensive tackles. So I think that's why. But that's one of the biggest reasons I'm so is because yes, Deshaun Watson comes back, and yes, that's going to improve your passing game and your run game too. But to be able to get push against a front seven like that is definitely a great sign moving forward, because you're gonna need every little you can get, because there is really no room for error. So for the Browns to put out that performance definitely points into a very good direction.
The fact that you're able to go at home against a playoff caliber team that is underachieved, of course, I think at 5-6 now, and win ugly, win a close game, win a game that good teams can win, that bad teams don't, that win a game that you haven't won this year. Like, you haven't won those games. Like, I guess you kind of won it that way against Carolina. But, like, that's how New York goes. That's how Atlanta goes. That's how the Chargers game goes. All of those games were like that. But you couldn't pull out any of them. And then you did. Like, it's like it's this turning point. Now, is it too little too late? It might be. You're 4-7. The playoff picture is very muddy. But the thing is, a lot of these teams are playing each other. You get to go up against 3 division opponents. Now, granted, you got 2 NFC opponents left, and 2 of your 4 wins are against the NFC, which is really tough because the conference tiebreakers, you lose something there because you've lost a lot of these games against AFC and you've won these games against the NFC. But I think that if that team shows up going forward, it just changes everything about the way you want to think.
Yeah.
So we're sitting here and we say, okay, a couple of weeks ago, like, what is there to be excited about? Well, maybe when Watson comes back, we can at least see what we paid for, right? And it's like, okay, but now he's coming back to a team that probably played its most complete game of the season because they played a decent team, a playoff team, a division leading team. And a game that they always lose, they won. And so you put all of that together and you say, okay, now Watson's coming back onto the field. Can that be a spark plug? Can that be something that propels them for the final 6 games, even if they're not able to make it, even if they're not able to win and get into the playoffs, but are able to go like 4-2, and they end up being, what would that be, 8-9 again? Like, something like that. Like, you can do something like that, and you're like, okay, so we can build off of this. We've won, what would that be, like 27 games in the last 3 years with Kevin Stefanski, and more wins than anybody that we've seen in a long time.
And we know here in Cleveland, and we've been seeing it in recent weeks because the wins have been so rare, how quickly morale and the morale starts to tank, questioning rises as you start to lose games, right? People are there's rants about Stefanski, everybody's calling it for all these fire, and suddenly you win a game, everybody calms down a little bit. You can see the locker room's excited. You get to feel good about Jacoby Brissett. The players who were already excited that Deshaun's coming back, like I think it helps charge up Deshaun as well. Because how must that feel for him? Looking at this team and knowing he's coming back and just seeing, he's coming from an organization that was losing. He was 4-12 the last time he played football, right? So I think you collectively you're looking to build, like, this isn't just for 1 year, and yes, we all want to make the playoffs, but it's about much more than that. So I think in as we're discussing this, I didn't consider this until I remember how in 2020 that Bengals win was a catalyst that really propelled the Browns, and yes, they made the playoffs that year, but maybe this Buccaneers win can be your catalyst, can be the thing that really pushes you forward, because you got 3 division games left. So Deshaun's going to get a crack at all 3 teams. And I think that's important. I think just building and if you keep winning now, what you do is you solidify stability moving forward into next year. And I think more than anything, that is what the Browns need, because a lot of people were really excited. Kevin Stefanski wins Coach of the Year. There's a lot to like. And so, yes, we've hit bumps in the road. We've hit trials and tribulations. So I think moving forward into next year, and I don't want to get completely ahead of ourselves, but you are so much better off with stability and confidence moving forward than you are with constantly questioning, angry rants, players with questionable effort. So much has helped by winning. And let's be honest, you don't have a first round pick anyway. It's not like we're playing for that pick. So, and Jacob, I had a thought that occurred to me, and I don't know if you heard this or not, but before this game happened, Mary Kay Cabot was talking to David Njoku, and she asked him, I can't word for word it, but basically, do you owe Deshaun an apology? Do you feel bad that you're handing off the team with this type of record? And David Njoku's response to her was, well, first he asked her how many games they had left, and at the time it was 7. And he said to her that the season wasn't done, they weren't done playing, they had a lot left to prove. And so David says that to Mary Kay entering the week. And then it's none other than David Njoku on 4th and 10 with that one-handed catch that ties the game and helps send it into overtime. It's such a nice thing to see, because so many people questioned paying David Njoku and his skills. And I have this discussion with my uncle all the time. And I said, they're paying David Njoku based on what they know he can be. And I think you are seeing exactly what he can be, a difference maker, somebody that said it publicly that they have a lot left to play for and showed you on the field that they have a lot left to play for. You don't win that game without David Njoku. You don't win it. That's a guy that had a lot of questions, and I think he's answering them. And you and I have both said that about David Njoku, that he's been a difference maker this year, that he's been really growing into that role. And so that's probably my favorite storyline of this entire win, is to see David Njoku take even the next step. I think he's not even to what he can fully be, but he's already proving that he was worth every penny you paid him.
Hey, man, like, I'm a David Njoku stan, so there's not going to be any arguments over here. He also had some comments after this game that were like, I'm not done. We're not done. Here we come. We're not over. There's so much game left to play. And it was make me run through a wall kind of inspiring,
Well, leadership out of your tight end.
Yeah, somebody actually showing leadership, Myles. Anyway, I'll take the shots. I don't give a shit. David Njoku, two players I want to highlight: David Njoku, Anthony Schwartz. And David Njoku, he goes out there, and it's just like, I wrote this story and I was like buried for it. It's like, they made the smart move. They should pay him. They're going to give him the reps. With those reps, he's going to produce. Yeah, he's missed a couple of games. And then last week he was a little bit slow, kind of he was on like a snap count. And this week he's not on a little bit less of a snap count. And because of the high ankle, he's hurdling dudes last week, even though he still had a high ankle sprain, which is just absolutely insane to me. That catch is the best catch by a Cleveland Browns player that I've ever seen in my lifetime. So post 99, I can't think of a bigger play. That was his left hand.
Just crazy.
He OBJ'd that thing.
Yes.
And he tucks it, because he knows if he hits the ground and it moves, it's incomplete. And he tucks it, and he's just, do you really?
I can't. 4th and 10.
And this is me. I said, I see him go up, and I'm like, damn it, Jacoby sailed it. It's over. I was like, which is exactly what Jacoby said too. And Jacoby in his presser, he was like, I was about to cry because I overthrew him and all this. And I was like, I know. And he's like, and then I saw him and I wanted to kiss him. And I was like, me too. We all wanted to kiss him. But everybody wants to kiss the chief.
It's 4th and 10. The Bucs are firing up the jet. They're going back to sunny Tampa Bay and getting out of here. And David Njoku, he had other plans.
He climbs that ladder, extends, uses that athletic ability, uses those long arms, uses that frame, uses all of the stuff we've wanted him to put together and use. He does it all in one play. And one play, he showed you why you gave him that contract, even though he's been producing all year. He sits there and he goes, listen, crunch time, red zone. This is what I can bring to the table. This is how I can take the team to the next level. And this is how I can help this team win games and somewhere down the line win a championship. This is why. And Deshaun Watson has never had a tight end like this. He has never had a big target, athletic freak in the red zone. He climbs up there, he snatches it, he puts it down. Buddy, I cried. I had the flu, right? I had the flu. And if you are listening right now, you can tell I coughed for 4 days. That's why I sound like this. I had the flu, and my ass was up. I was up on my feet, and I was like, I had my hands, and I'm like, what? And then I'm like, he must have been out of bounds, because I couldn't see. There's always got to be something wrong, right? There's always got to be a reason it doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, he's going to be out of bounds, or, he's going to hit the ground. It's going to move. They're going to call it incomplete, whatever. And then they show the replay, and I'm just like, that's a touchdown. That's a touchdown.
You know what's funny, Jacob? If you rewind this show's 1 week, we said, could you throw one of those end zone targets against the Bills to David Njoku? Maybe not Farrell Brown and Harrison Bryant. How about one of them? Anyway. It's funny. It's funny how we talked about that. And here we are a week later, and you give the end zone target to the tight end you paid, and look at what happens. No disrespect to Harrison Bryant or Pharaoh Brown. They didn't catch the ball. David Njoku, I mean, I'm just saying.
And I love Jacoby, and thank you. For real quick, thank you to Jacoby Brissett and what he has done in these 11 games. I wish they would have won more games. You played well enough to win more than 4 games.
In 11 games, Jacoby Brissett has led to receiver having more receiving yards, leading receivers Amari Cooper, than any Browns receiver had in 17 games last year.
Yeah.
In 11 games of Jacoby Brissett, who was not a quarterback upgrade according to many. I was roasted. I'll never forget. I posted that Jacoby Brissett, the last time he was started with the Colts, had less than half the interceptions and one more touchdown that Baker Mayfield did in 2021 last year. And people called me insane, said Jacoby Brissett is not half the player Baker Mayfield is. And I'm not here to dance on Baker Mayfield, but I'm just saying you jumped the gun. He's
here to dance on the haters.
Proves it. The proof's in the pudding. Jacoby Brissett has been better than Baker Mayfield was. Every stat tells you that. And people laughed. People laughed at the idea that Jacoby Brissett could be better than Baker Mayfield. And so I'm just thinking it's just a little thing. I know the Browns are 4-7. I understand that. That is not Jacoby Brissett has put the Browns in position to win many of these games. They didn't go that way, but that does not take away from the level of play Jacoby. The Browns did not upgrade quarterback one time in the offseason. They upgraded twice.
Comments. I'll get to your comments in 1 second. But how about that number 10?
It's your time. It's your time. A little victory lap.
I was coming. We talked about it. We got to figure out a role for Anthony Schwartz. You've got to figure out, is it more laterally than horizontal or than vertically? They get him involved very early, and he gets that open field, the blocks in front of him, who, by the way, Jacoby Brissett embarrassed Antoine Winfield. Just nonchalantly pancaked his ass right to the ground. It was like no big deal. He was just like, oh, bye-bye. And Winfield's like, what the hell was that? Was that Wyatt Teller? I thought that was Jacoby Brissett. It was. It was Jacoby Brissett. And when he gets in that open field, you saw exactly why he's on this roster. Exactly. Acceleration. He also had a catch where he fully extended, snatched it out of the air for a first down. Because you're saying, okay, well, you can give it right there. And then on punt coverage, they now started to put him on special teams, which was something we asked maybe they could do with him to figure out why he could have a role on this team. And he makes a very great tackle, and I think Andrew's even commenting on it down there in the comments about it. He had a really nice special teams tackle on a punt. He's playing some gunner, and he had 3 really nice plays just off the top of your head. They continue to show confidence in this kid. They've continued to give him the opportunities, and you're starting to see a very young player with things that you can't coach take advantage of that. This is really the first time that he's really stood out. Mm-hmm. But everything from inside Berea sounds like that Watson loves Anthony Schwartz. Of course, he loved Will Fuller. Well, I got news for you. Schwartz is faster.
You could see it too. When he got around that corner
and there was open field,
he was gone. Just faster than anybody else on the field. It was evident. And that's why you drafted him. You can't teach speed.
Yeah, and there it was. You saw it right there. There is it. That is why they hang on to him. And I just say, let's continue to see some of that. And I think you will see some of that because there's a lot of interesting thing. And we're going to shift gears here for the latter part of the show and talk about the new era, talk about Watson and all that other stuff that's coming up. But first, check on some comments. Let's see. All right. Let's see here.
Jacob, as you look at those, I just want to say, I know we're early here, but it's nice to see the front office. So, Anthony Schwartz was inactive for a game. right? And people were like, oh, maybe you took a developmental pick. They need time to develop. He's had some injury issues that have hampered that. But they've stuck with him. You're starting to see a little bit, just a little. Perrion Winfrey was out there too. Had issues with him. Not saying he played his best game ever, but again, front office sticks with these guys, gives them time. I like the patience out of them. That's a theme that I'm on that is really encouraging.
Players can develop.
Yep.
That's what good franchises do. That's how you win long term, is you develop day 2 and day 3 picks. Okay, can we collectively facepalm all the calls on JOK to be fired or his play towards the end of the game? Yeah, that the Barstool guy saying he should be suspended. He's a moron. I'm not even taking any more time for that. I know what you're talking about, Josh, but no, we're not. Didn't Pharaoh Brown have his best season with Deshaun Watson? I think you're thinking of Darren Fells. Fells.
Another former.
I think Pharaoh Brown may have played with him, but the one that had a really good season with Watson, I think, was Darren Fells, who is also, like you said, a former. He's the one that did the fusion dance with David Njoku.
Yeah. Fusion.
Yeah, so starting to develop some instinct, Schwartz. So, all right, real quick, we're going to shift gears and talk, about Watson and the stuff moving forward. But real first, we're going to step away, take a quick break, our only break of the episode. Talked about our friends from Underdog.
What's up, everybody? We know that daily fantasy never stops, and Network 216 is proud to be a partner with Underdog Fantasy. Very simple to use. All you have to do is go to underdogfantasy.com, and you will just click the sign in button. You'll create an account if you haven't done so already. If you've not created an account, it'll ask you to enter code 216, and they will double your first deposit up to $100. Underdog Fantasy, live draft lobbies that you get to compete with you and your friends. It's no salary cap like DraftKings and FanDuel. You get to go to a draft lobby, pick the players you want, or you can do daily pick'ems, which give you access to all the NFL and NBA games for you to make your picks every single night. Again, go to underdogfantasy.com or use the Underdog Fantasy app on iOS or Android. Use code 216 to double your first deposit up to $100. Sign up today.
Yeah, they're the best. I have a lot of fun. And sports gambling coming to Ohio January 1, so a lot of great things. Lot more things you'll be able to do over there going up. So we're going to start to shift gears here a little bit and talk about the elephant in the room, the return of Watson, and what that means. So, Nick, wherever you want to start, what do you think you expect to see this week?
Okay. Well, we were talking pre-show, and I think the number one takeaway I have is, funnily enough, though his suspension got extended from the original amount, debuting against, because a lot of people have talked about the rust, and obviously Deshaun hasn't played in a long time. The Texans are in full tank mode. Now, they may try to treat this game like their Super Bowl, but they have been getting the floor wiped with them by their opponents in recent weeks, and I think they have their eyes on that number 1 overall pick. So if there was any team in the NFL that you could pick
to shake off some rust,
yeah, it's against the Texans. They're the worst team in the NFL. They have 1 win. So, I mean, that's certainly an encouraging sign. I think I do think there is going to be Deshaun's in a new offense, right? I know he's been practicing, but there's definitely acclimation there. You didn't really get a whole lot of them in live preseason, so it probably will take some time. But I think more than anything, and I tweeted about this today, is for the first time in Nick Chubb's career, he's not going to be the focal point of the defensive game plan. He can't be. And that's no disrespect to Chubb, but when you rank the most dangerous weapons the Browns have, Deshaun Watson becomes the most dangerous weapon the Browns have. And that that's a game changer. I think people fail to realize how much that changes how a defense plays against you and what you can do offensively. And this is a damn good offense to begin with.
I've seen some things highlighted. I think Jake Burns was highlighting, Jordan Zerm might have been the one that I'm thinking of, but highlighting some things, some wrinkles you're going to see, and it's the RPO. I'm so excited to see the run pass option situation here in Cleveland, because you watch a lot of this like shotgun. So there is reason to believe, and I've seen this on the film too, and I've seen some other people smarter than I highlight it, so that like I'm like, oh, okay, so they're setting this up. They are putting a lot of those RPOs on film without doing them. They're running out of the shotgun, and they're running a lot of wide, and they're moving. They're not doing any counters or anything like that. So they're getting the offensive line to move all to the left, for example, and Chubb runs to the left or Hunt runs to the left, and there is fuck off nobody on the right-hand side of that line. And I mean, I've seen people highlight it. I've seen it on film myself, and week in, week out, where when that is Watson and he puts it in the belly and he looks up to his right, and the only person over there is the corner and his wide receiver, and he pulls that and he goes to the right, the whole defense has got to respect Nick Chubb. Well, of course they do. He's the best running back in the NFL. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Deshaun's going to gain some yards. That's what's going to happen.
Well, somebody's going to gain some yards.
Because you know what? So when the bootleg was so effective with Baker Mayfield was when they weren't staying home with him, and Baker got to see the whole field and he was throwing down it. Well,
yes.
Defenses started to adjust and they stayed home on Baker, and Baker did not have the athleticism to beat the defender, whereas Deshaun does. And they knew that about Jacoby, who rushed really surprisingly well this year.
So much more than I expected.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the agility, I don't think. So defenses weren't playing it, as you said. But Deshaun changes all of that, because you've got an athletic, running capable quarterback there that can make defenders miss. And we've seen
you have a true athlete at quarterback.
And that is not something we've seen at all in the Kevin Stefanski tenure here. And that's truly a game changer. I don't think people realize how different it is when the quarterback can beat people on his own.
Yeah. Well, he's a creator. I've written about this several times on Dog Pound Daily. I wrote about it yesterday as well, about it, talking about, like, can they make the run? Well, you're looking at a situation where, and we saw it again this week. We've seen it multiple times, where if this team gets behind the chains, they're a penalty, a negative yard run, something like that. A 5-yard penalty could, as good as the running game has been, as efficient as Jacoby has been, a 5-yard penalty often spelled the end of a drive. Like, it just was not something that the Browns could sustain, and they now have a creator. These RPOs, I think that's going to be the biggest. And you know what? Who the biggest victor is in this? It's Nick Chubb. Yeah. I mean, you highlighted it on Twitter for one, but it's like, I look at this and I say, they're putting all these looks on film so that they get all these teams to start cheating towards what they've seen on film. Well, the problem is, what they have seen on film is Jacoby Brissett, not Deshaun Watson. Now, granted, there's some good coaches. I don't think Houston's got the personnel, but Baltimore surely does.
Yeah.
To look at that film and say, okay, but I know that that's Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, not Deshaun Watson. So I understand that there's going to be some differences here and things like that. And so you got that stuff coming up, but they're doing this. They're setting things up to just shatter all the tendencies, to shatter everything they put on film this year. And that is intriguing. That is interesting. That is exactly why a lot of people, myself included, have said Kevin Stefanski gets a chance with his quarterback. Mm-hmm. He gets a chance with this quarterback because we can see this stuff. We can see the stuff that they're preparing. We can see the stuff in training camp, the stuff they're putting on film, all of this stuff. And listen, if I can see this stuff on film, so can defensive coordinators. I understand that. But the problem is, if you say, oh, they're running an RPO. Watson's going to keep it because they've been trying to set us up. So then you cheat to the right. Well, they'll just give it to Nick Chubb.
Yeah. And that's the thing is throughout Kevin Stefanski's tenure as the Cleveland Browns head coach, the most dangerous weapon the Browns have had has been Nick Chubb. And throughout that time, they have consistently been one of the best rushing offenses in the NFL. And so all that time, when defenses are keying on stopping the run, you've been successful anyway. Well, this is the first time where defenses legitimately have to shift their focus to, hey, the quarterback is going to kill us if we do not focus on him. And so that's my biggest excitement is when you can't focus on Nick Chubb anymore. What is he capable of? Because we have not seen that. We haven't through all of his years thus far. He's always been your most dangerous weapon until now.
We've always asked, could the passing game complement him so that he can get some open lanes?
Honestly,
yeah, that's what we've asked week in, week out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I see the comments. I'm not going to comment on the Tony Busby stuff that came out today.
Nope.
If you want to see that sort of stuff, go onto Twitter, read that sort of stuff. I'm not. You could say what you want about me, but I'm not. I'm talking about football. I'm done talking about non-football stuff. I'm not. I want to talk about football. I've said what I've said. I've made my opinions very clear on him as a person. Very clear on some things that I think about the cases, all that stuff. I don't want to comment on it. I apologize for anybody that wanted to hear comments on that, but I'm not going to do it.
You know what? The NFL ruled a punishment of a suspension for Deshaun Watson. He served his suspension. He's been reinstated by the NFL. He's going to be on the football field on Sunday. That's where my focus is. I feel like we've been waiting this whole time to
see if it's worth it.
Yeah. And so that's where I laser focus.
But I'm not upset for you guys asking those questions or anything. I'm just saying
it's
a fair question. I did see Josh say that he has been sick too, so I hope you're feeling better soon, buddy, because I've seen that you've had to miss some of your mass services and stuff like that. And I know what those mean to you. So hopefully you're back on your feet and able to attend all that awesome stuff here soon. Okay, Andrew asked about David Bell in the slot. Very interesting. So David Bell got it was around 20. I think it was 18 snaps in the slot. But so did Amari and DPJ. They had 3 dudes take 15 to 20 snaps in this slot. And it's really interesting to me that they've rotated some things in there. I think that is where they want Bell because they really didn't go and get one. And that's kind of what we saw at training camp. But I really think they want to use the slot. They actually had Schwartz in the slot too, actually. Not as much as the other 3, but Schwartz did play some slot snaps as well. I think they want to use the slot to create mismatches. I think they want to put because they want to put Njoku in there. They want to put Amari in there. They want to put David Bell. I think David Bell will probably get the bulk, and the bulk might end up only being 30-40% overall. You know what I mean? So I don't know if he's not going to get a vast majority, but he might get more than anybody else. I do think that's where they want him to, but I just really think they're going to use the slot to try to find some ways to create mismatches. Yeah. As well, they were going to use Jakeem Grant there as well, which I think also threw them for a big loop when he tears his Achilles in training camp, which just I continue to be upset about because I was really excited about his return game.
I do want to say, though, I do want to give credit. We've given the special teams a lot of flack, justifiably so. But they've started to find a little bit of return game between Donovan Peoples-Jones and Jerome Ford. It wasn't just a 1 week fluke. All of a sudden, you're getting good returns out of both of those guys, and that's really helped the offense and just the team in general. Because I mean, we've highlighted it both times that not only the defense has been struggling, but the special teams as well. So all of a sudden, both units are playing better.
Yeah, I mean. I still say fire Mike Prefer, but that's because Cade York's got an issue with his plant leg. It's all wonky, and there's a lot of Jay Feely commented on it. Jake Burns is talking about it. They're trying to, and I think that's a thing that If that continues to be an issue, which it has continued to be an issue, I think that they really I just got fire Mike Prefer. That's it. Sorry. I start laughing and then my throat starts tickling. I start coughing and all that good stuff.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Down the stretch, so we've got 6 games left. Do you think that it is possible Joe Woods could earn his job back next year?
You know, we talked about this. Not an actual like straight up hypothetical like this, but you and I talked about this, I don't know, like 2-3 weeks ago. And I said, I don't see any way barring some massive turnaround. So I think you won this game because of the defense. And they still aren't forcing turnovers, which is just insane. That's a big thing. You're forcing no turnovers, and that in and of itself is a reason I think he should be gone. But
okay,
it depends, because what I got to know is, how do those players still feel about him in the locker room? Because are you going to totally revamp that roster? Because you are going to have to make some changes to that defensive roster.
Yeah,
There's a lot
absolutely.
of holes. There's a lot of holes that need to be filled, and they will be filled, or at least they'll attempt to fill them. But, oh God, do I think there's a path? Yes. Okay. Do I think they'll find it? No, probably not. I think it's plausible, but not probable. Like, I think, I mean, you've got to, like, say against Cincinnati, because I don't think it'll be a problem. I don't think it'll be a problem against Houston this week, but say against Cincinnati, you come out and Watson is still rusty and he's completing like 60%, throws a couple picks, something like that. Just not a good game. And they win that game, and it's because of the defense. You're going to need games like that. They're going to need to win like 2 or 3. So they're going to need to win like 2 or 3 games that have a strong defensive presence just to consider it.
Okay. That's fair. I think it's fair. I think I still lean towards Kevin Stefanski keeping his job, Prefer and Woods being out. But there's, like David Njoku said, there's a lot of games left to play. There's a lot of story left to be written on this season, regardless of if you're going to make the playoffs or not. I think you're not only playing for this year, but you're playing for next year too. So I'm really excited. I feel like, you know what? Maybe the Browns could catch fire here. Maybe this is a catalyst, and maybe suddenly you see a team that's playing inspired football. I certainly hope so. I think all the right pieces are there to get to that point. And you've got tough competition, 3 more division games coming up. So if you want to prove it, the opportunity is there.
Yeah, pretty much. Josh says he is feeling better. He's got to sing for Christmas services on Christmas Eve, so he wants to get better. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he's going to be okay. So he's singing on Christmas Eve, a Methodist service, 10:30 Christmas midnight mass. Oh yeah, that's awesome, Josh. Good luck. I hope you kill it. I know you'll kill it. I know you do a great job. MC says no way, Nick. No way.
Okay, I get it. I'm just. You know what? Maybe I'm drinking a little Kool-Aid right now. I feel, you know what? These wins have been few and far between. I'm soaking it in as much as I can.
I just don't think so. I just don't think, because like there's got to be a lot of things right, and I just don't think so. Like a lot has to go right, and I just don't think it will. So is it 0? No.
Okay.
Is it more than 10%? Also no.
Fair enough.
I think.
It's nice. It's so nice to. I honestly did not think that we would be able to do this show this week. So to come in here and to be able to feel good about things, it's so uplifting. Everything is more fun. You guys, all of yours, and I want to say thank you to everybody. As Jacob and I often say, the most valuable thing you can give to anyone is your time. So to see you all here commenting and being here with us, like it's so much easier to do that when they win. And we all know that. We feel better. You feel better. Got to imagine that everybody in the locker room feels a lot better. You don't got, like we said, you don't have to have any angry rants about Stefanski, and we don't have to debate who to fire and what and who's incompetent and whatever this week. And maybe I still feel like some of that is overreaction, but at least we don't even have to have that debate. It's amazing what one win can do.
It is. It's definitely amazing that one win can just changes the complete outcome of everything, the outlook and all that stuff. Oh, cool. He's going to be singing at multiple different churches. That's awesome.
Wow. Hey,
awesome.
Good for you. Good for you, man. And, and I guess, you know what, we didn't really get to say, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. And as we get into these holidays, I think it's really important to be thankful for all the blessings that you have, because I know this football season has been tough and that can really, drag you down. But I think it's important to try and keep in perspective everything good that life has to offer and to just make the most out of every day. I know that's a little off topic, but it's something I've been trying to embody personally. And it's something that I think we all could use a little of.
And I had done a whole bunch of draft stuff I was going to do so much draft study this weekend, and then I got the flu. So that's what I'm actually the most pissed off about. Not Ohio State getting boat raced, was that I barely got to watch college football film this weekend. Like I had like 7 defensive tackles lined up. I was going to watch 3 games for 7 different prospects, their entire all 22 films of three games. So I was going to watch 21 games this weekend.
Oh.
In case you're wondering, when it's only defense and only when a certain player, it's usually each game is probably between 9 and 25 minutes, typically, because you're watching defensive tackles and they don't necessarily play all of, what I mean? They don't necessarily play all the snaps, and you don't have to watch the offense, and they cut out commercials and all that stuff. So it's like 20-minute videos per. But I was going to watch so much, and then we're going to talk about the draft.
Yeah.
And here we are. Here we are.
And for those of you who just a little peek behind the curtain, I think Jacob already got the best Christmas present he's getting this year. And it is just video upon video upon video of focused on one prospect tape.
Yeah.
It's just infinite games, infinite amounts of film that Jacob can watch. He's like a kid on Christmas, and it's not even December.
So many games. So many snaps. I did watch some. Like on Sunday, I watched some. Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday night. No, I watched it Sunday morning before I went to work, and I watched some of it, and I was like, "Yeah, this is cool. This is cool."
It's you know what? I'm feeling renewed, feeling reinvigorated. Jacob's getting healthier. Thank you all for being here with us today. This has been episode 84 of the Barking Browns Show. I'm Nick. He's Jacob. Go Browns.
This time I don't say I guess. I say go Browns.